Who is this male showing this box to? A scruffy looking female with buckets of attitude. Could this be Mindy? Good day everyone and welcome back to the channel, and indeed welcome back to the 2022 Nestbox series. As you can see, we're dealing with some snow, so we're taking the video off right where we left off in the last video. The blue tits had just entered the box for the very first time. But you can see then snow arrived, so spring is, while on its way, it is not just here just yet. But it doesn't stop our little birds keeping busy and doing a little bit of house hunting. Even when it's snowing like this, you can see that they're still pretty interested in what boxes and prospecting new possible homes for the oncoming nesting season. And I'll continue to give you updates on these boxes when enough activity has been recorded, as they only really pop in and out a couple of times a day. But nonetheless, I feel like it's an integral part of the story, as it's really interesting behaviour, and the anticipation of will they nest or will they not nest is always very exciting. So do we get some visits? Well, of course. And this blue tit even brings on its mate. But we see something that we've seen in previous years. The bird inside tends to get uncomfortable when the bird is at the hole. I always find this tends to happen early on in the year when the pairs of blue tits may not know each other that well yet. That's only a hypothesis on my behalf, but it tends to get ironed out as the year goes on. So we may have started with the blue tits, but it's in fact the grey tits that have been most active with this box. And this grey tit I've been seeing quite a bit. I always notice it because it has a thick black band on its chest, and also it is noticeably big even for a grey tit, as it only just about fits into the nest. And just like the blue tits, the grey tits have also paired up, and we can see the female just arriving. She quickly flies off, however, and she doesn't seem to enter the box. The male is left wondering what on earth did he do wrong. And I've touched on this on previous years that the males always seem to be the most interested in nest boxes early on in the year. And we get another look at just how big this grey tit is as he tries to leave the nest box and only just about manages. But that doesn't seem to hold him off. The following day on the 22nd, he's back again. He's a magnificent looking bird. And if you listen right now, that was the sound of his mate calling from the tree. And so he's here again trying to coax the female into this nest box. But will it work this time around, and will we get our first nest swap of the year? We can see the female straight in after the male. She's sitting at the nest box and really thinking about going in. And there you go, we have our first nest swap of the year. So what will this female think of this nest box? And you can see she has a good look around. They really do inspect a little bit of everything. Would this be a safe space to bring up some young? Are there other entrances? I like to think they're all the questions that are being asked. We don't see any nesting shuffle or anything like that, and eventually, she's on her way. The next day she is back, however, and being hassled by another grey tit. Just look at those displays. Eventually, that other grey tit gets the message and heads on its way. He proceeds to stay in the box for a good 10 to 15 minutes then, just sitting in the corner like she is there now. And within that time, a blue tit actually arrives to check out the nest box. That blue tit was taking no chances with that grey tit inside that nest box. Let's take another look at that, except just from the outside. That blue tit gave that less than a millisecond once it had seen that grey tit in that box. And rightly so, a grey tit outweighs a blue tit by quite a bit, and if they were to go toe to toe, well, let's just say it would not end well for the blue tit. Following day on the 23rd, the female grey tit was back again. And this has been the routine that we've been seeing day to day at this point. They really do the rounds, check in on their potential nesting sites, and then get on with the rest of their day. This day, however, seemed to go a little bit differently. She arrived in and, if anything, she looked a little stunned, and she just kind of sat in the box for quite a while. As you can tell, I've sped this up quite a bit. So this is around 1 o'clock in the afternoon at this time on the 23rd, and this bird looked like it was getting quite sleepy. You can see it there kind of closing its eyes. And so it starts grooming itself and fluffing itself up. And I've seen this behaviour before roosting before in the evening, but never during the day. It's not unheard of birds taking naps during the day, but I have never seen it and I've often found it quite peculiar. And just watch how much it fluffs itself up. These birds do this fluffing up behaviour to keep warm at night and help to insulate them better. Which is great when you're going to sleep on a cold winter's night. But this is 1 o'clock in the afternoon and this bird looks like it's getting set up for bed. And indeed it does. It goes to sleep for a good 10 to 15 minutes. I have to say, you really don't usually get to see this behaviour during the day like this. So after her power nap, about 10 to 15 minutes later, she decides to get up and heads on her way. I have to say I found this behaviour very interesting. I've seen videos of birds doing this the very odd time, but I've never came across it myself. Was it the case that it was just chilly outside and she needed a rest? Or was it the case that she was just tired? Or maybe could she be under the weather? Whatever the case, she brushed it off and was soon back at it again and headed on her way. And the following day it was a fair snowy one. And apologies for the out of focus bird. This outside camera tends to keep her setting and then focusing on the ground. Luckily, it doesn't seem to be happening on the inside camera at all. And the following day, the female grey tit is back. And again comes in and proceeds to just hang around for a little while. She was also starting to fluff herself up slowly but surely, and I thought she was about to go for another nap. But just look when her partner lands on the nest hole. And keep an eye on her feathers. She goes from a very relaxed bird to a not so relaxed bird. Let's take a look at that one more time. Her partner seemed to really give her a fright. But something really unusual is going to happen that I haven't really seen before. And it could possibly be an explanation for all the naps. If you see the bird there, she's actually sneezing. And you can see a lot of what I'll call water in this instance was being sprayed out of her beak or her nostrils. So the question to ask, is this bird sick? And would that explain all the naps, midday naps, should I say, that this bird has been taking? You can see it slowly becoming more apparent as the water stains the wood. So let's hope that this little bird makes it through whatever little cold, flu or whatever infection that this bird may be fighting at the moment. I'm hopeful, as the bird does seem to be quite energetic and reasonably healthy otherwise. So moving on to more exciting news. This box here was the box I brought with me from my home house when I moved out last year. But recently I got wondering, what about the birds back at my parents' home? Well, I bought a brand new box and camera, and look at this. You may have noticed me trying to live stream this camera, unsuccessfully I may add, a short time ago. But we had this male blue tit come visit. But look who's deciding to come in. It's a female blue tit. But who could it possibly be? Straight in, shouting at her partner, a scruffy face, an interrupted white line on the back of her head, I believe we're looking at Mindy. We'll have to go into this in further detail, but on that note, we will speak to you again. See you soon. Bye bye.